Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto Skillet. In this video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin because what's happening with Bitcoin right now is extremely important to the entire crypto market, and we could very well be entering the start of the most parabolic phase of this entire cycle. And guys, most of the money is made in the last portion of the cycle. I'd say about 80% of your profits are typically made in the last 20%. And so right now, it's time to be paying attention if you're not already. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on what's going on in the market, and it's mostly going to be focused around Bitcoin, but I am going to touch on Ethereum and some altcoins as well. Now, I usually do these market analysis updates in my Telegram group and on Twitter, but this is just too important not to share here to my YouTube audience as well. And by the way, guys, if you're not already in my Telegram group and if you're not already following me over on Twitter, you're really missing out. That's where I typically share my low time frame updates, and I share different trade setups that I find. Like, for example, 2 days ago, I shared this Ding setup. This was an absolutely beautiful inverse head and shoulders with a perfect retest, and from the very first candle, I shared this setup. Now, if I come here to the Ding chart, you can see that since I shared that, if I grab my measuring tool, that was from about here, it's gone up about 104%, over 100% since I shared that setup. And obviously, if you were trading this with 10x leverage, that would be over a 1000% profit that you would have made on that trade. And that's just one example, guys. So make sure you follow me. I've got the links for those down below. And if you do want to trade these markets, you can get signed up to AlphaX or 2bit. Those are two exchanges that I use, and you can get some insane bonuses and a discount on your trading fees. I've got all the info and the links down below in the description. And of course, remember that nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a trader and an investor, and this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. But back here to the Bitcoin chart. So we've just broken above this 8-month long consolidation. We've broken above this previous high, the one that we put in way back in March of 2024. And we've got this really high volume weekly candle right here. And everyone's getting extremely excited, saying this is the start of our next parabolic leg upward. Now, I will say there's still 2 days left to go before this weekly candle closes. So I'd really want to see this candle close above that line. So I don't think we have full confirmation just yet, but overall things are looking extremely bullish. Now, if this candle does close above here and we do get this confirmation, that has some really serious implications if you're a trader. So what this would imply is that we are moving from a ranging environment back to a trending environment. Okay, so when we're ranging, we're looking at longs and shorts, playing both sides of the market. So when we get up near resistance, that's when we're looking to short. When we get down to support or the bottom of the range, that's when we're looking to take longs. And as I've showed you guys in other videos, I've done really well playing this kind of environment. I've actually made a pretty insane amount of profits over these last 8 months, but it's absolutely critical that you recognize the shift in the environment when it happens and you adjust your trading strategy accordingly. So if we really are moving into an upward trend, that means this is not the time to be looking for shorts anymore. Okay, on a higher time frame sort of perspective here, I think this could very well be the start of our 5th wave upward in Elliott wave terms. So the start of wave 1 was down here. This was our wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and it appears we are beginning our 5th wave. Now, the 5th wave is often the strongest and most parabolic. So again, if this is the start of our 5th wave, this is the time to be looking for longs only. Okay, and if we go down to the daily time frame and we look back at the last time that we were in a parabolic uptrend, you can see that we do get pullbacks and corrections, but they tend to be very, very shallow during these really ripping uptrends. And so where traders go wrong a lot of times is by not recognizing this shift, okay? So for example, if you were in the habit of playing the sort of up-only trending environment that we were in from about January up through March of 2024, and then suddenly we shift from this trending environment to this ranging environment, and you're looking to long every pullback, well, you're probably going to get liquidated. And just the same can be applied here when we shift from this ranging environment where we're looking for both longs and shorts and then switching over to an up only sort of parabolic phase. You got to recognize that so you don't get wrecked. You don't start playing shorts when you should be looking for longs. And that's where I think that we're at. Again, we don't have official confirmation yet, but overall things look really, really good. Now, if I go down to an even lower time frame, you can see that we had this impulse to the upside, and now it looks like we are due for a little correction. And as I've shared in my Telegram group and on Twitter, I'm already long from down here in this green box. but I am looking to add to my longs on pullback. So where exactly am I looking to add? So first of all, if we come back to the daily chart, you can see we have this fair value gap. So if I grab my rectangle tool, the fair value gap is from here to here. Okay, and I'll change that color to purple. All right, so that's my first area of interest, is right here somewhere within this range. That's from about 70.6K up to around 74.2K. So any dip down in this area would be really, really healthy. And now for further confluence, if we come way back here, still on the daily time frame, we can see this last supply zone right before our big drop when we started the ranging environment. So that's right here on this candle. And I'll go ahead and change the color of this as well to green. Okay, and you can see this area where they overlap. Okay, so right down in here, this is kind of the sweet spot for me. So I've got bids set in this area. So that's from around 71.4K to about 73.5K. So that is the area where I'm going to be looking to add even more to my longs if we get it. Now, again, when conditions are really, really bullish, sometimes we might not be lucky enough to get a pullback like that. Okay, oftentimes the kind of corrections that you get when things are really heating up is kind of a sideways correction, or sometimes even an upward correction. Okay, if we look back here at Q4 of last year, like here's a good example right here. So the impulse ends, and then on the corrective phase is actually kind of an upward correction, or what's often called vertical accumulation. So sometimes you're not even lucky enough to get a pullback into a fair value gap. Okay, so once again, I am already long. I've got my stop just below this, but that's where I'll be looking to add to my longs. And otherwise, if we do get sort of a sideways or vertical accumulation sort of correction, then when I see the signs of the next low time frame impulse, I'll go ahead and compound my position there. Okay, now some other factors to keep in mind on the weekly chart. If we look at our indicators here, look at the MACD. I'll go ahead and close out the RSI. So the MACD, we've just seen this cross up into bullish territory. So obviously that's looking fantastic. And if we look at our metrics here on the lower time frames, here is where that last impulse happened. And we can see here from the CVD that this was a lot of spot market buying that was driving this. Okay, this green line that you see here, that's spot CVD, and the white line is perp CVD. Now notice how the green line has been making these higher highs, while the white line has been basically flat, or if anything, slightly lower. So this indicates that it's not really a lot of perp longs that are driving this move, it's more of spot buying. Now, I will say open interest is still fairly high, as you can see right here. Although it's not insanely high, it's not actually as high as I assumed that it would get. So that's actually kind of a good sign, because remember, open interest just measures the total amount of leverage in the system. So this includes both longs and shorts. And so the reason it's dangerous to have really high open interest is that it opens up the possibility for liquidation cascades. So if you have a lot of people who are just going crazy long, just aping in, then some big whale can come in and sell off right to the level where a lot of these perp players have their stop loss. And then of course, if you have a leveraged long and you hit your stop loss, that's a forced sell. So that causes the price to sell off even further, which then hits more people's stop losses, which then causes more sells, and then price dumps even further until the leverage is wiped out. Okay, so there is still somewhat of a risk of that happening with open interest this high. But again, it's not as high as I assumed that it would be with a giant move like this above the highs into new all-time highs. And what's more, our funding rate has actually been decreasing and is pretty low, all things considered. So usually when you have a ton of longs in the system, the funding rate gets really, really high. So this is fairly healthy. Not to mention we have a spot premium at the moment, which is also pretty insane. So while I wouldn't call these conditions absolutely 100% ideal, because there still are a few concerning things, I do overall think it still looks really, really primed for a gigantic move upward after perhaps a shallow correction. Now in the spot order books, we can look at, let's say, around 2% away from price, and the asks and bids are roughly equal. There's about 1.12K on the ask side and about 1.14K on the bid side right now. So fairly balanced. It's not like we have this giant ask wall. So we start seeing some pretty heavy supply at about 78K and then upwards of 79K as well. But again, up through those levels is fairly balanced. And of course, this can change. This is always changing as people are adding on new bids, new asks, pulling previous bids and asks, etc. But it generally looks pretty good right now. Okay, so that's where we're at on Bitcoin. That's my trading plan. Again, I'm looking for bids down in here. Now, if we start trading down below this area, and say we come back, retest it, and start falling again, especially if we're getting closes down below this area, that's going to be a cause for concern. That to me might indicate that this is more of a deviation and we have to treat this more like a large range. So I'll play that a lot more cautious if that was to happen. I don't think that that's the most likely thing right now. So I'm assuming this is a real breakout until proven otherwise. Okay, and of course, again, if I see anything change, I'll keep you guys updated in my Telegram group and on Twitter. So once again, make sure you're following me over there. Now, there's something interesting to point out about Ethereum. We've talked a lot about Bitcoin so far, but check this out. So here's the Ethereum weekly chart, and we have this really important level I'll mark out right here. So right about there, you can see we have this crucial level. This acted as support, and then once we came below it, it acted as resistance, and now we've just broken above that. Now, again, we still have just under 2 days left before this weekly candle closes. So once again, I want to see this close above this line. And if we do that, then I'm going to assume that we're back inside this range right here, from these range highs up to these range lows. And all of this was a consolidation underneath, basically acting like a deviation. And if we do close back inside and reclaim this range, then we can possibly look for a move back up to the range highs around 4,000, or on a shorter time frame, we could be possibly looking at some resistance right here in this supply zone, right here starting around 31,000 going up to about 35,000 or so, which is roughly the midpoint of the range. And now if we look at Ethereum Bitcoin, the ETH BTC chart, this is really noteworthy. So we finally tapped back into this demand zone, and this is for the first time since back in March of 2021. We finally come back to it, just tapped into this zone, and now we're getting a really nice bounce upward. So this to me indicates that Ethereum could outperform Bitcoin in the coming weeks and months, although I do think that Bitcoin has got to lead the way. It tends to lead the markets, and usually we see the real runs on Ethereum and the other altcoins after Bitcoin takes a breather. But the Ethereum Bitcoin chart in particular looks really primed for more upside, and of course when Ethereum runs, that tends to flow into other alts as well. Now if we look here at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see that we've just tapped into high time frame supply. Okay, this thing has just been grinding up for a long time. We finally tapped into this supply zone, and we're now getting a little rejection out of it, although I do think if Bitcoin continues to rip, this could travel way up into here. Again, these are weekly candles, so it takes a week for just one candle to close. So there's plenty of time for Bitcoin to rip, and then once it finally tops and Bitcoin dominance starts to really plummet, that's when we're going to see the super insane alt season that everybody wants. Okay, that typically happens at the end of cycles after Bitcoin has already topped. But in the meantime, there's a lot of alts that are going to rip even as Bitcoin is ripping. Okay, again, we've already seen some insane runs just in the last few days, just like I showed you with Mu Ding. But overall, my focus right now is on Bitcoin, because I do think Bitcoin typically leads the way, and kind of the best thing for the markets is for Bitcoin to just absolutely rip. And so I'll definitely be keeping an eye on all the things I just mentioned. We're going to watch for that weekly close, and I've got my bids already set to add to my longs. And by the way, guys, if you do want to trade these markets, you can get signed up to Alpha X. That's one of my favorite exchanges that I use for trading these perpetual futures. They've got up to 125x leverage, and I have partnered up with them to give you guys some insane bonuses. You can get up to $5,000 of new user bonuses plus 15% off your trading fees, and I've got the link for that down below in the description. And 2bit is another fantastic exchange that I've partnered up with. They've got both perp trading and spot trading as well, and you can get up to $9,210 of free bonuses when you use my link down below. So go ahead and sign up, guys. Don't miss out. This is not the time to be sleeping on the crypto markets. This is the time to be paying attention, because there's going to be some absolutely insane opportunities coming our way, and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And once again, join my Telegram group, follow me over on X. Make sure you watch out for scammers. There's a lot of fake crypto skillet accounts, so make sure you only use the links that are actually in the descriptions of my videos. Okay, guys? So with that said, that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.